No, this is going to be a continuation of the stuff we did before. So we're doing inferences, where we're talking about the inference for a formal inference. We talked about the conclusion, which is close to the same as the inference. Talked about the evidence briefly. Now we're going to talk about sample variability. Now this is the part that normally separates the achieved merits and excellences out. When you're doing the sample variability, you can be looking at what happens if I took another sample. Some things you would think about: the sample statistics, what happens there. Sample statistics, it means, that's your data in this check. So if I took another sample, I would expect to have a different median, mean, all of those statistics that you gather. Those should all be different because it's a sample, and it's very unlikely that they're all going to be the same. One of them might be the same, but not likely to be all of them the same. The means or medians in respect to the confidence interval. So that's talking about it's talking about how much your mean's going to change. So I've got a confidence interval. I expect that the mean or the difference between the means are going to be within that range. You would be expecting to talk about that in some way, which you might have already done earlier. Sample size. What happens with the sample size? If I took a bigger sample, we did this a little bit differently this year. This year we talked about bootstrapping. What difference does bootstrapping make with the sample size? If I increase the sample size, does that get more accurate with the bootstrapping method? We'll talk about that in a little while. And your conclusion. What differences could happen with your conclusion? So if I took another sample, would you expect to get the same conclusion as what you made now? Which is different from whether you think the median is going to be the same. Because you might have one case where, in the case that we just did, the median was very close. You only just made the call. So if I took another sample, I would expect that the median for the females to be bigger than the males. But my conclusion might be different if I took another sample. That one's a little bit more depth. So this one's, if I took another sample, I would expect the sample statistics to be different. That's pretty much what I was talking about. The upper, lower quartile, would not necessarily be the same due to sample variation. A little bit of just basic what it is, achieve stuff. I would expect that the median for males would be longer than the females would be longer than males because of that confidence interval. I could make a call that the females would be longer. However, due to the medians were so close together, because these ones were very close together, you only had between 0.5 and 3. There is a chance that the confidence interval would include 0, and I would not be able to make the call. So there's a difference between the median and the conclusion. If I were to take a bigger sample, I would get a more accurate result, which should decrease the size of the confidence interval. However, because I've already made the call, this would be a wasted effort. Because if you've already made the call, there might be something you could sort of argue whether your sampling method was appropriate, and if there's too much bias, then it might be different. But that's another story and a topic for another day. I think we've talked about all of those things. This is your achieve and merit. Other things you might want to sort of think about happening, because this is what would affect your conclusion, and this is what separates you. If the confidence interval just includes 0, what does that mean in terms of your call? What happens if you took another sample? Confidence interval clearly includes 0, and the confidence interval is far away from 0. So these 3, I would write different conclusions. I'm not going to go through the what if then statements because I want you to be able to figure some of these out for yourself. Some excellent stuff. So just another few things here. This is from your marking grid still. Discussion of the parameter choice, mean versus median. Something for you to look up. So we usually use the median if there's too many outliers, if there are outliers. But if you don't have very many outliers, then a mean would give you more precision. You can look up a few things about that. The effective sample size on confidence interval. So that one's a weird one because we've just resampled and did it more and more and more. If we took a bigger sample, would you expect it to shorten? And to explain that, you're going to have to look at some of this regression towards the mean stuff. So I've put this little thing here on my website in the same place as this video. Detailed description of bootstrapping process, you can have that a go, or other relevant variables that are related to your topic. Alright, that's me. I've only got 3 seconds left, so enjoy the video.